We are now good to go.
Okay, so welcome to episode 1 of TBR, the To Be Read podcast, where we'll be talking about books, authors, in the industry. I'm Patrick Stemp, and with me are co-hosts Archer Caldwell and Michael Oren. How you doing, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about why we're here. Each Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern, we'll be meeting we're going to shoot for 30 to 40 minutes to talk about the books we've been reading, what we enjoyed, what we didn't, and what's coming up that we're excited to read. We're going to review books, or at least sort of recommend with reasons. Full reviews, they can take a lot of time, and I think sometimes they give a little too much away. So we want to give you just enough to get you interested in the book. Nope. We've got some weird audio thing going on there. You guys getting that?
No.
I got a little bit of a glitch, so hopefully...
I think somebody's YouTube feed is hit play or something.
Okay, so...
I'm going to make sure it's not me. Yeah, it's not.
Should be good. All right, I just shut down my other computer, so...
I don't think it's me.
All right. Should be good to go.
Okay.
I'm still hearing the audio. Are you guys?
No, I don't hear it.
Just through your screen.
Oh, hang on. There we go. That was my fault. Early days, early glitches.
There you go, man.
Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, we just kind of, want to share our love of books and give people enough information about the books that we love to hopefully get them on your TBR list. So we're also going to have a weekly topic, something about reading or the industry, and we're going to blog about that topic a day or two before the live podcast. Archer will drop links into the comments or on our page, so where you can find the blog. We'll also watch for comments during the live broadcast. So for anyone who's listening audio only, the blog will be it's tbrpodcast.wix.com. Wix is W-I-X, and then it's /2-B-Red.
And just to interrupt for a second, we'll clean that up so it's not such a lengthy URL, but we just wanted to have a placeholder for now, and once we get the ball rolling, that'll be a much tighter URL, so you don't have to type so much to find us.
Right, so if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this a year after we broadcast, it's probably changed. So our topic this week is really just welcome to the podcast. So since it's the first episode, we're going to start with some introductions, talk about the kinds of things that we like to read. All three of us are actually writers at various stages in our careers, but we're not here to talk about the writing. As writers, we're also voracious readers, and we love talking about books and sharing the books that we loved and recommending them to other people, and we also like to hear back once they've read the books that maybe they loved them as much as we did, or maybe not, and if not, why. So we're going to go on to some introductions now, and since I've been doing all of the talking up to now, I'm going to pass it off to Archer.
Hey, I am Archer Caldwell. I am in the earlier stages of my self-publishing career. I actually started out as a screenwriter in a prior life. Had 3 different screenplays get to very minor stages of acceptance before ultimately finding their way into the back of a closet. I tried that for about a decade, and then my wife came to me and told us that we were going to be having a child, and realized that I could not support said child with non-selling screenplays. I decided to go to college in my late 20s and got a career in accounting. It's so exciting and so very different than writing. But after about another decade of doing that, I decided, you know what, my passion is still reading and writing, and I have decided to give it another go with a brand new platform in novel writing as opposed to screenplays. I live in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, so Hollywood is quite literally on the other side of the country, and it's something that I have found to be interesting, that as much as you can buy a book anywhere, you can write a book anywhere. So trying to take the love that I have of reading and translate that into writing. As it stands now, the first thing that I am working on is a serialized fiction that takes place in the world of Johnny B. Truant and Sean Platt's Beam universe. It will be a 3-season serial with the hope that season 1 comes out around Christmas of this year, which is 2014 if you're listening at some distant future. That's probably enough to get the ball rolling for me. If you want to kick it off now, Michael, you
Okay.
being the most published of us.
I don't know about that, but well, my name is Michael Ronn, and I started my indie career at the very beginning of this year, January 2014. I have published, 4 books right now. So I write fantasy. I call it fearless fantasy. My fantasy is kind of the only fantasy with the balls to include vegetables as main characters and teddy bears and those kinds of things. So I like to tell interesting stories with unique characters. But I've published 4 books, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa, which is kind of weird. It's like, what are we doing in Iowa? But I actually work full time, so I write part time and love to read. And I love to read just about anything: fantasy, science fiction, nonfiction, poetry. I started off writing poetry, actually. That was how I started my writing career, and then moved on to short stories and on to novels. So I kind of have a love of all things literature. I love just about any kind of format, and as long as the writing's good, it's my kind of thing. So yeah, I guess that is me in a nutshell. Guess I don't know what else I could talk about, but I guess we'll definitely get to open up and share more about ourselves throughout the rest of the life of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Patrick?
Okay, so yeah, I'm lifetime reader, and like a lot of people who want to be writers, I think I've probably been planning to and aspiring to for a decade or so, jotting down notes, and I've finally reached a point where I'm actually starting to take some of that stuff and turn it into some workable stories. So mostly science fiction is kind of what I gravitate towards, and I think as part of an introduction, I'll sort of talk a little bit about what it is that I've most recently read and what's coming, and maybe give people a sense of what kind of books they can expect me to talk about in future podcasts. So you guys have heard me talk about this one before. I recently just finished reading The Martian by Andy Weir, and I don't think either of you have read that.
No.
Fantastic book. The main character is Mark Watney, and he's an astronaut who gets stranded on Mars, basically, and has to find a way to survive for a couple years until NASA can send somebody to rescue him. And so he has to find a way to survive with very limited resources. It's being turned into a movie, I think, with Ridley Scott attached to it somehow, and Matt Damon as the lead. So that's definitely one that I recently loved. The stuff that's coming this summer, in the next couple months, that I'll definitely be talking about as the weeks go by. The first one is Robogenesis, which is the sequel to, I think, a 2011 book called Robopocalypse by Daniel H. Wilson. And that actually came out today, so I'll be talking about that hopefully next week if I can get through it. It's basically, the first one anyway, I don't know about the second one because I haven't read it yet, but it's World War Z with robots. So same kind of idea, where World War Z was told through sort of journal entries. This one's told through basically the AI that tried to take over the world recorded everything, and so the part of the story is told through those video recordings.
Cool.
The next one is that I'll be talking about is, I'm not sure how to pronounce this one, but it's Sibylla Byrne, which is the 4th book in a series by James S.A. Corey, who's actually a pseudonym for Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank. So that one comes out June 17th, so we'll definitely be talking about that this summer. And then Lee Child's 19th book in the Jack Reacher series is coming out early September, so that's one we'll definitely be circling back on. Have you guys read any Jack Reacher?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, hopefully I can convince you to put it on your list.
Oh, yeah.
So do you guys want to talk a little bit about the kinds of things you're reading and what you, because I know you, between the three of us, I think we kind of cover a lot of different genres. I also read thrillers and mysteries, and Archer, I know you have some interest there as well, and
Sure.
horror. So what kind of stuff are you guys reading?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah, I actually just finished Unicorn Genesis today by Johnny B. Truant and Sean Platt, and that's kind of if anyone hasn't read it, that's the prelude to the Unicorn Western saga that they wrote, and I really enjoyed that. I just finished that. It took me a little bit longer to read than the Unicorn Western saga, but that's because I've just been kind of busy in my personal life. But It's really it's interesting to read it because it's kind of like a prelude to the saga. So a lot of the stuff that happens, you actually have to read the full saga before you read the actual Unicorn Genesis. But I think it's really well written, and it kind of, if you're not familiar with the story, it's about a gunslinger who rides a unicorn, and the unicorn has these magical powers, and it's kind of an homage to many of the really famous westerns that Western movies, like the Sergio Leone movies, and 3:10 to Yuma, and a lot of the westerns that were really famous. And I think it does a really good job kind of paying tribute to those while still being a unique story. So I just finished that, and I'm on next to probably some nonfiction. I'm trying to get a little bit healthier in my life, so I'm reading some books on food and vegetables and things like that, and that also kind of ties into the next novel series that I'm writing. So kind of killed two birds with one stone with that. But I'll be talking about some of that stuff too. But mostly I like to read fantasy. I like to read a little bit of sci-fi. I do like literary fiction if it's written well and if things actually happen in it. And I do like to read poetry and short stories. Probably won't talk about those too much on here, but
why not?
I do have pretty. Yeah, hey, we can make that a topic. I know we.
I don't read poetry, Michael. So I mean, convince me. Get it on my list.
Well, yeah, I got a few months to do that, right?
Sure.
Slowly, one poem at a time,
Sure.
But yeah, I do like those. That's where I kind of cut my teeth as a writer. So I can't ever get very far away from poetry and short stories. So, but I have pretty wide reading interests. I'll read just about anything.
How about you, Archer?
So that brings it to me. So in my day job, I read lots of accounting memos and finance journal stuff, which is riveting again. And then in my late night job, some of you may already know that I do continuity editing for Sean Platt and Johnny B. Truant and Sean Platt and David W. Wright. So a lot of what I will do is read their stuff either right after it's come out or right before it's come out. So so far this year, I have read The Beam seasons 1 and 2 for Sean and Johnny, Z21, 34, and 35 for Sean and Dave, White Space seasons 1 and season 2 for Sean and Dave. And White Space season 2, I have just finished. I sent my notes to Dave and Sean night before last, and then what will be next on my immediate read list for them is whatever their Fiction Unboxed title becomes. That will be something that I work with their team from a continuity perspective. And then actually from a writing perspective, I will also be writing in that universe in September. I am one of the lucky few to be a participant at their world building event in Austin, Texas. So stay tuned here. We'll let you know kind of an inside scoop. I am a participant, so I'm sure I'll give updates from time to time as far as what things are going on from a voting perspective. But additionally, I will kind of share the story of what we're doing to get from Blunderbuss, as it's called right now, to whatever it becomes, and then where the additional world builders go in Austin, and then the colonists beyond that. From a reading for pleasure perspective, I just finished a thriller called Blood Bond, and I'm blanking on the author's name, so I apologize, but I'll have that in the show notes. And then the next on my list is Hollow World by Michael J. Sullivan and Quarantine, The Loners by Lex Thomas. Quarantine is a YA series. I wanted to try and broaden my horizons because I've tended to actually strict to the classics. I read a lot of Agatha Christie. I read a lot of Ray Bradbury, and I need to get something that was maybe written in my lifetime. While I like the classics and while the hard-boiled detective novel is probably one of my favorite things to read, and it shows in some of my writing, I want to see something a little bit more modern that's not written by Sean, Johnny, or Dave. Not that they're bad, but I need to broaden my horizons. Additionally, from a going back to the classics, I am also reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for the, I don't know, 10th, 11th time, as well as trying to juxtapose that against Dean Koontz's first book in his Frankenstein's saga, the Prodigal Son. So that's 4, 5, 6 different books that I'm going to be reading for the hell of it, as well as the books that get thrown my way from Sean, Johnny, or Dave. And then additionally, similar to you, Michael, I will be reading a little bit of nonfiction for very, very preliminary research on something that just started kicking around in my head. I want to read some history books on 1920s Australia. So for those down under, there's to you. But it's I have an idea. Yeah. I have an idea.
You want to get the color of the smoke right?
As much as that's a joke, yes, I totally do. I mean, I am history first, and so I will not put down a word until I know that I'm not going to screw something up. So I definitely, but I got to find a spot to where stop doing the research and actually start writing words. But this is brand new. It was an idea that popped around probably around lunchtime yesterday. So. I can't say I've been over researching it. I haven't opened the book yet. So that's kind of what I'm reading and why I'm reading it this summer. And I think maybe with unless you wanted to go more, Patrick, with what little bit of time we have, maybe talk about how while we'll have the vibe of reviews, we're not necessarily reviewing this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that was something we've kind of bounced back and forth on. One of the things I find this with book blurbs too, where you kind of read the back of the book and or reviews on Goodreads or Amazon. I kind of want to know if somebody enjoyed the book and if so, why, and if not, why not. I don't need to read a synopsis of the entire book in the review or on the back of the book. That's just me personally. I think we see the same thing in movie trailers, right? Where once you've seen the trailer, you almost don't need to see the movie. And reviews of any great detail can also take a long time. We read a lot, and we kind of want to hit a lot of books. And so I think what I said earlier was recommendations with reasons.
Right.
So we'll recommend a book, and we'll try to tell you why we enjoyed it and why we thought it was a good read or not, without getting into the nitty-gritty of all the plot twists and turns, and we don't want to give away too much.
Mm-hmm. And I think fundamentally, everyone has an opinion on something that they read, watch, write, and while there's going to be an element of reviewing it, whether if I say I like it, that's a positive review. It may not be, 2 thumbs up kind of review, but it's still going to be something that's a review. And, we're cognizant of the fact that we're trying to or succeeding at writing as well as reading. But this isn't something to where we want to really be studious. I don't know if that's the right way of going about it, to where I liked it because, I love the historical treatment of how they brought in. That's not what it's going to be about. I think gradually it will become, what you would do if you were around the water cooler and you were talking about, the last episode of Lost or Breaking Bad or I don't know, Game of Thrones, and so, but these are going to be about books, and yeah, some of them are going to be about how they tied into the, Patrick, you were talking about, it's been an option for a movie, and some of them are going to turn into, GOT is a TV show, and so you're obviously going to have bleed over in those areas, and there's going to be areas, like for me particularly, I saw a couple episodes of Game of Thrones, and because of the television show, I bought the book. So maybe it's a little bit backwards, but you're going to have instances where I really like that movie, and I didn't even realize that there was a book behind it. And so you read it, and typically you hear the story of the book's always better than the movie. Where maybe we'll find instances where the book was shit.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that too. I think the new Tom Cruise movie, what's it called? Something Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds right, with Emily Blunt.
Yeah, I had, I just kind of a peripheral idea that movie even existed. And, Simon Canton just did a book review. I didn't realize it was a book, and now I know, and I threw it on my to be read list because he said it was good. I think kind of what you're saying too about the water cooler archer is, I think I noticed it most when I used to read sort of video game reviews, that talk about the amazing graphics and the gameplay and all these things, and I just want to know if it was fun to play. Right. I don't really care about all that other stuff. If it was fun and enjoyable, I don't care so much about all the other stuff. Just
yeah. And I was going to add another layer to what both of you have been saying, is that that's the point of a review, is to help people determine what books they want to read next. Yeah, it's an opinion, and yeah, you have the right to voice your opinion and to go as in-depth or not as in-depth as you choose in your review, but that's the purpose of this podcast, because we don't, we want to read the books that we want to read. Life is short. There are a lot of books out there, and we got a lot of books to read in our lifetimes. We can't read them all. And second, we're not here to trash other authors too. I mean, we're not here to give a 1-star review for a book that we didn't like. I think all you got, at least we agree on the fact that we're here to be a positive recommendation service. So the books that we read, that's where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that being said, if I read something that's just a piece of shit, I probably won't mention it on here. But if it's something that Patrick, you read and you're like, you know what, I'll take the thumper approach, and I won't say anything. I won't say anything at all. But there are going to be instances where, as we're trying to explore things, like I want to talk about things to where what do you find at the library? What do you find on quick. Just something online. There's going to be blogs that we're reading. There's going to be just elements that, and the easier it is to put something out there, our blog included, the easier it is to put something out there, the more likely it's going to be that it's probably not the highest of qualities. There's gatekeepers for a reason, and right now, we're going to talk candidly about reading, and so sometimes that candid topic is going to be about how the writing maybe let us down. Again, I don't think we're going to bash, but
in a constructive way.
Right, exactly.
Right? That's. I mean, we can't just talk about the good without the bad, but
because I agree with you there too, because I think part of all of this is to you kind of create a community of like-minded readers, and I don't read romance, active or otherwise, and I read science fiction, and we read horror, mysteries, thrillers. Those are obviously the kinds of books we're going to talk about. And if we read one of those books and didn't enjoy it, and you are somebody who, if I recommend something to you and you get into the habit of kind of finding that you enjoy the things I do, chances are you probably also won't enjoy the things I didn't.
Right.
And so while we won't trash an author and we might just simply say, read it, didn't like it. And maybe a little bit about why, and as you said, Michael, kind of focus more on the positive, but I think we do have to address the negative as well.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else that you guys wanted to add?
No, just thank Anita.
On that topic, yeah. So one of the last things we kind of wanted to do tonight was just to kind of put a huge shout out there to Anita Solver. She is a freelance illustrator in Denmark, and she created the, I don't know what we call it, like a show card for To Be Read, and it's coming. I think we're kind of using an early version of it. We'll hopefully have a completed one soon. She's fantastic, and I don't think we'll see her. I don't think we'll see her visiting us live as we broadcast here because of the time change between us and Denmark. But we know she's out there, and we appreciate her. So we'll include a link.
Huge shout out.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks, Anita.
Yeah. So her website is Solver, and that's SOELVER.DK/EN. So that's the English version of her website. So just a final reminder, I guess we're going to be here weekly at 9 for 30 or 40 minutes a week. Hopefully we'll start to see some viewers and bring a friend.
Yeah, and then probably audio only will get up on the various sites, the iTunes, the Stitchers, and that. Maybe on a week lag, just so we can have the necessary commentary to include to that. So keep your eyes posted. Follow us probably first and foremost on Google+. That's where we'll be doing most of our commentary. And then from there, we'll get a cleaner version of the Wix site, and we'll go from there.
Yeah,
and
I
another
think
important thing too, we welcome comments. So
absolutely,
anyone who wants to comment, interact, we'd love to see your comments and love to interact with them on the show. So
just because we're not negative, don't mean you can be
Yeah,
negative to us. Bring it. I'm not scared.
We're ready.
Yeah, and I think we probably all three of us are pretty easy to find online. I'm on Goodreads, all the usual places: Goodreads, Facebook, Google+, all just with my name, Patrick Stemp. Nothing, no weird hyphens or symbols or anything like that. So I'd love to see anybody on there.
Yeah, easiest place to find me is archerwrites.com.
Best place to find me, michaeloron.com, LLN.
And I'll have mine up and running soon, hopefully.
Awesome.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, and we'll keep touch and do it again next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see you next week.
Have a good night, guys.